everybody, welcome back to yet another video, to yet another T-Tour Reviews Tie discussion. Today, I want to take a look at the history, the evolution of, and the many inconsistencies of the Lightning McQueen Diecast Mold, the car body. Basically, if a Lightning McQueen diecast is being released, what does the car that it's released on look like? I'm not really paying attention to the decals on the car, I'm looking at the shape of the car, the body of the car, basically, and how that's changed and evolved, and where the inconsistencies lie, and where it's accurate. Anyway, guys, let's get started with the basic McQueen model. The basic McQueen used from 2006 to around about 2017. Any new Lightning McQueen released from 2006 to 2017 from the first Cars movie uses this mold. It's fairly generic, the mouth is molded in, but of course could be easily swapped out either with a mouth plate or by molding a different expression on him. Saw a whole lot of activity in its early days, but soon afterwards, after the release of Cars 2, the usage of this body died out as less new Cars 1 McQueens were made. This version of McQueen, this body, is still in use today, but really, so far, it's only been for re-releases for the past few years. A couple alterations to this include just a few accessories added onto him, like the night vision goggles, or here, of course, Spin Out McQueen, who, let's face it, he's ridiculous. And then, of course, we move on to just one of the minor changes to Lightning here. Not really minor, but it's definitely a change. This is Cruising Lightning McQueen. This body has only ever been used on variants of Cruising Lightning McQueen, and an altered version was later used for Road Trip Lightning. This McQueen is, of course, just like the normal one, but removes his spoiler. Really nothing too unique about him, just a Lightning with the removed spoiler. And sorry for any dust on these guys, by the way. Of course, we will get to the Road Trip Lightning McQueen later, but I do want to point out, it was just this with a little plastic trailer hitch and an accessory on top, and that came out later on down the timeline in 2016. Now, moving right along, we have the Cars Tunes era, where we got, for the first time, a whole lot of new Lightning molds. And, of course, you had your Lightning Storm McQueens, and your Christmas McQueens as well, with their snowplows and lights and wings and missile racks, because that was a good idea. And a few of those other things. But in the case of this was the first time where we really got a full redesign to the Lightning build. Here's Burnt Lightning McQueen, later replaced with Soaked Lightning McQueen. He is one of the prime examples here of a Lightning that just still stuck to the usual formula. As you can see there, this is a Cars 2 Lightning, that's his normal body. But, of course, moving on, we have this guy right here, Frightening McMean. Now, aside from this Lightning and Frightening McMean and the Dragon Lightning McQueen that we're about to take a look at, multiple others were released. And, yeah, a lot of them were mainly alterations on the classic Lightning body, like Daredevil Lightning or Heavy Metal Lightning, just having a bit of additional Rockstar detailing on him. Sadly, we never got a release of Matador McQueen, but that would have just added a new accessory to the mold. Now, of course, Frightening McQueen is a bit of a crazier design. He's got that cool suspension, and he's huge compared to the other Lightnings. But if you take a really close look at it, you could quickly recognize that he does seem to be using a slightly larger version of that normal McQueen body that all Lightnings have. Now moving on to Dragon Lightning McQueen, I see this sort of as the predecessor to Cars 2 Lightning. This is the first time that a McQueen, this is a plastic version by the way, had that crazy spoiler on him. And I do want to point out that, yeah, his stickers are peeling, but this Lightning does seem to have a bit of a thinner, somewhat longer and smaller body compared to the normal Lightnings. But speaking of the predecessor to WGP McQueen, here is WGP McQueen, also known as Lightning McQueen, with racing wheels. For the sequel, of Of course, you have to redesign your characters most of the time, and this McQueen is no exception. With a whole lot of new character decals, the diecast changed up a bit. I believe this is an entirely new mold. Yeah, it really does seem to be, with, if you look closely for some of the minor differences, this area here does seem to be a tiny bit smaller than his there. Of course, the body is a bit more modern looking and sleeker, sort of like a next gen if you really wanted to make that comparison. You could also see the World Grand Prix logo there on his spoiler. As for that, moving on in time to 2012, we got ourselves the Hudson Hornet Piston Cup McQueen, and I believe he was released in 2011. I sadly only have the metallic version, which is a really nice car, but I'm hoping to get the original sometime soon. I do have him without tires, but I decided to show this version for comparison. For this version of Lightning, as he appears at the beginning of the Cars 2 movie, he still uses the classic Cars 1 Lightning body, as you can see here. This is the usual Lightning body. Now, at around this time, we get into a gap between 2011 and 2015, where our next Lightning is the Precision Series Lightning. And sadly, I don't have the next few cars I'm about to talk about, but I'd like to quickly bring to your attention the 2012 Take Flight release of Autonaut McQueen. He was inaccurate. I believe the car was a bit too long. I'm not quite sure. I'm hoping to get some of those Take Flight cars soon. I would probably not have featured the Lightning McQueen Hawk, but yeah, he's basically, if McQueen were a plane, yeah, but he doesn't really kind of fit in with these other Lightnings. I also want to point out the Radiator Springs 500.5 Lightning. He, of course, had suspension on the Cars 2 Lightning body. Now, moving on, right now we have the Precision Series Lightning, who is, of course, a much bulkier build. He has that opening hood, if I could ever get it open. And despite being bulkier, he has a different expression, and is all around a bit more accurate, but the bulkiness kind of makes him lose a bit of the Lightning McQueen sleekness. And, of course, we also have at around this time period, the Road Trip McQueen, who I already mentioned. He was released in 2016. I do own him, but I don't really feel like he's that major of a Lightning release. I did mention him before, since he's really just an alteration on the Cruising McQueen. And with 2017 comes the biggest inconsistency yet with the Cars 3 Lightning McQueens. McQueen went from this to that. The new model, much like the Cars 2 model, is skinnier and a bit longer. I really think he looks nice, but some consistency sure would be nice. This version of Lightning does look a bit more lively, honestly. In my opinion, he's got a bit of a happier expression, these Cars 3 Lightnings, and in the recent years, Mattel has been doing a pretty great job with updating expressions and making them look a bit better and more animated. But still, it's odd to have this McQueen on a different body, especially when he didn't really go through some major reconstruction of his car in between Cars 2 and Cars 3. He very clearly is still just the same as he appeared in Cars 1 and at the beginning of Cars 2. But here's where the inconsistencies lie. Chester Whipple filter in both his normal and rubber tire matte paint variant, which I have with me right here. They're the old Lightning body, which not quite sure how that happened, how that slipped through. But it is quite sad that we have that inconsistency now. So, Mattel, are you trying to give Lightning a new body, or are you trying to just re-release him how it used to be? Maybe it's something with a matte paint or the sculpt here, since this is a slightly different Lightning sculpt, as you can see with all the mud detailing. I'm really not quite sure, but then I would like to bring your attention to the future here. We are still getting, even in 2018, the old Lightning body, 2018's Cars 1 Lightning release, is on his original body. Once again, a bit contradictory. The Cars 3 and Beyond releases are on the new body, as you can see here, with his Thomasville counterpart, as well as his Fireball Beach counterpart. And then, of course, we move on to the future with next year's release of the XRS singles. Lightning is going to be getting another off-road counterpart, which will just add to the ever-expanding library of changes to McQueen's diecast. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. See you guys next time. Maybe in the future I'll do a video like this for Mater or Sally or a few of the other characters. See you guys next time. Bye now. For this version of Lightning, as he